Hello, I'm Patrick McMahon, the founder of Trade with Pat, where we create strategic investors. In this webinar series, I'm going to go over a question I get from a lot of new investors and new traders, and that's what software platform do you use to trade? And then how do you set up your charts to look for high probability setups? So I like to use Thinkorswim by TD Ameritrade. I don't have a marketing relationship with TD Ameritrade or Thinkorswim. I don't work for them, but I just found that their software works the best for me, especially placing trades that focus in on implied volatility. So it's relatively straightforward to download Thinkorswim. The first thing you do is go to the TD Ameritrade website, which I have right here, and you'd click on Open a New Account. And in relatively short order, it's going to walk you through a bunch of steps to set up an account. And once you do set up an account, you're going to download Thinkorswim. Thinkorswim is actually a software package that downloads to your desktop. And when you do that, you're going to see an icon appear here. I elect to have mine on my desktop because I access it almost every day, certainly Monday through Friday. And when you double click on that, you're going to get a login box that asks you for your username and your password. And you're going to come to a screen that looks like this. So I'm using the Paper Money account that I have, which allows you to practice placing trades before actually doing it with your real money. And I have a chart up here of the E-mini S&P 500 futures, which is the future contract for the S&P 500. And when you first log on, this is what it's going to look like. You're going to have the blue screen. It's going to give you a year view. You're going to look at the past 12 months of the E-mini S&P 500s. And then down below, you see the volume down here. So this is effective for some folks, but I like it to look a little bit different. So I'm going to walk you through the process of how I set up my chart to view. So the first thing I'm going to do, and this is where I'm going to spend the majority of my time, it's right over here, this collection of 4 or 5 boxes. The first one I'm going to go to, it looks like a small wrench, and it says chart settings that pops up, and that's relatively intuitive. If you want to change the settings of the chart, you go to chart settings. So when I click on that, this tab appears, and where I'm going to spend a lot of my time is going to be in general, time access, and appearance. So starting with general, I take a look, and here I see overlap volume, and it's unchecked, and that's why we see volume as a separate graph, a separate study down below. So since I don't want that, I'm going to go ahead and click overlap volume. And what's nice is you can click apply, and you can see in the background what the changes you're making are going to look like. So perfect. I freed up all that extra space to spend more time actually looking at the chart itself. Then I'm going to go to the time access. I don't want my default to be a year. That's a little bit too much for me. I usually find that looking back 3 months is good for a default. Sometimes I'll go back and look 6 months. Sometimes I'll go back and look at a year when I'm actually getting ready to place a trade. But the past 3 months is really enough for me. And then since the trading that I do is based in large part upon implied volatility, I like to be able to look out a little bit in the future to see if either a dividend is scheduled or if an earnings announcement is scheduled prior to placing a trade. So I'm going to change this expansion area from 0 to 30, and let's see how that looks when we click apply. Beautiful. So now we have a shorter time frame, and I can look out and see what's going to happen in the next 30 days. Obviously, nothing is scheduled in the E-minis in the next 30 days because it's an index. Now I'm going to go to the appearance and get it to look the way I'd like it to look. The first thing is I like the red bodies of the candlesticks to fill, and I also like the green bodies of the candlestick to fill. So I'm going to go ahead and click this, apply it. There, that's much better. And I'm going to go ahead and minimize chart mode and go down to common. So I don't like the background in this blue color. I much prefer a nice clean white color. That's much easier for me to look at. And then by the same token, I don't want the volume to stand out as much as it is, especially when you go down to the lower section of the chart. It looks like the volume and some of the greens and the reds from the candlesticks are overlapping. So I'm going to go ahead and change the candlestick to a gray color, apply that, and that's perfect. That's how I like it to look. So there's nothing else for me to do here, so I'm just going to click OK. And I also only really like to see one study on my charts, and that's implied volatility. So I'm going to go ahead and click on implied volatility, or sorry, I'm going to click on edit studies. And I don't care about volume open interest, so I'll click on that. Now that's going to make that blue line disappear. And in here, I just type in I and M, and it gives me implied volatility. I'm going to do add study. I'm going to edit it a little bit. I don't want that light blue. I like a nice dark blue from implied volatility, really make it pop out. And I also like the width of the bar to be a little bit thicker than the lowest. And I don't want implied volatility all by itself. I like to actually see how it relates to the price action. So we apply that. We hit OK. There, very good. It's kind of choppy because it's the S&P 500. If we go to something that has a little bit more uniform implied volatility, like Facebook, here you can see what happened with implied volatility Facebook. And this is how I like to look at my charts. I like to see everything as it relates to the price action, and then I really like to focus in on implied volatility. The last thing that I like to do is I like to have the ability to look at a 6-month time frame and a 1-year time frame without having to manually go in and change the time every time. I like to do it more as a click. So what I can do is I can go over here on this yellow box right up here. And I can elect to change that settings. But before I do that, I actually want to make my life easier. I don't want to have to go in and manually change the 6-month and the 12-month time frame for each of those graphs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my settings because I don't want anything to change, and I'm going to apply those settings to the other month. So what I'm going to go and do is I'm going to go to Style. I'm going to go to Save Style. And I'm going to include my study set, and I'm going to call this Trade with Pat. And I'm going to click OK. Now I'm going to come up here. I'm going to click on this box. I'm going to choose a column with 3 yellow boxes filled out. And when I do that, 3 more boxes populate here. You'll notice right now they're blank. So in Thinkorswim, you always want to make sure this little box up here matches what it is you want to look at. So here it's red for the Facebook chart. So I'll go ahead and make it red here. And I'll go ahead and make it red here. And you'll see what happened on these 2 graphs down below is it defaulted back to the original. So to load my style, I'm going to go here down to load style. Trade with Pat is what I just saved. And then I'm just going to make a quick change. And on the time axis, I'm going to go ahead and make it 6 months. Apply. Looks good. OK. And then down here, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go to Style, Load Style, Trade with Pat. And then I'm going to change, click on the wrench here, change the time axis from 3 months to a year. Hit Apply. Hit OK, and then when you want to focus in on a time period in particular, you just go ahead and double click on it. So I'm going to go right up here up to the top, doesn't really matter where, and I'm just going to double click, and now Facebook's going to populate. And now what this allows me to do is, okay, I'm looking at Facebook over the past 3 months. Now I want to take a look over the past 6 months. I just press that button once, the right arrow key. And then if I want to go and take a look at a year, same thing. It has all my presets in it. It's showing me implied volatility, and it has the chart set up the way that I like it. So that's how I like to set up my charts. I hope that was beneficial. I know for a new trader, a new investor, it can be intimidating when you start to set up your charts. There's hundreds of different studies, and certain people swear by them. My setup is relatively basic, and it sets me up really well to trade based on implied volatility. So on the next series of webinars, I'm also going to cover which indices I look at. When we were setting up the chart, we saw the E-minis, the S&P 500, but there's a few other things I like to look at to gauge what's going on in the market, and if there's maybe some unusual relationships occurring, if anything might be tradable based on those relationships. I hope you did enjoy this, and I hope you enjoy our future webinars. And if you do, please visit our site. It's www.tradewithpat.com. We create strategic investors. Please consider registering for my Twitter feed so you can see what I trade right after I fill it. I also offer email support if you have any questions about the trades I'm placing, or you have questions about trades maybe you placed and you just would like some guidance on how you can maybe improve cost basis or what I would do in a particular situation. There's an email support option as well. And also, if you want to be coached by me one-on-one, and I can kind of teach you the ropes and help you avoid some of the pitfalls I fell for. There's also the coaching service that you can subscribe to. So thanks so much, and I hope you enjoy the series.